Hello, today we are going to talk about quadratic functions. So let's look at the two forms of quadratic functions. The first one is f of x equals a times x minus h, the whole quantity squared, plus k, where a not equal to 0. So this is also called the standard form. And in this form, the vertex is hk and the axis of symmetry x equals h. It's a line that divides the graph into two symmetrical halves. And when we talk about quadratic functions, the graph of quadratic functions is always a parabola. And another form of the quadratic function is f of x equals ax square plus bx plus c, where a not equal to 0. In this case, to find the vertex, we can use the vertex formula, that is minus b over 2a, f of minus b over 2a, that is the y coordinate. So to find the vertex, we have to find the x coordinate, that is minus b over 2a, then substitute this value in the function to get the y coordinate. And also please notice that in both forms, a is the leading coefficient, that is the numerical coefficient of the highest degree term. If a is greater than 0, the parabola opens up, and if a is less than 0, parabola opens down. So for this class, we are going to learn the graphs of quadratic functions that opens up and down. In this case, the axis of symmetry is always the x coordinate of the vertex. So let's look at some examples. So use the vertex and intercepts to sketch the graph of each quadratic function. Give the equation of the parabola's axis of symmetry. Use the graph to determine functions, domain, and range. So let's look at the first question. F of x equals negative x minus 1, the whole quantity squared plus 4. So it's similar to the form f of x equals a times x minus the whole quantity squared plus k. So we have already seen this form, so we know that the vertex is hk. So in this case, when we compare this function with the given function with the first format, f of x equals a times x minus h square plus k, you can see that instead of h, we have 1, and instead of k, we have 4. So the vertex is 1, 4, right? And you know that the leading coefficient, here it is like negative 1, so which is less than 0. So the parabola opens down. And in this case, the parabola opens down. So the axis of symmetry is x equals 1. So to graph the parabola or to graph this function, we need the vertex, x-intercepts, and the y-intercepts. So to find the x-intercepts, we know the rule, set the function to 0 or y equals 0 and solve for x. So when you set our given function to 0, negative x minus 1 square plus 4 equals 0. So to solve for x, first we need to get the square term by itself. So x minus 1 square equals 4. Then take square roots on both sides, use the square root property. So x minus 1 equals plus or minus 2. So make sure to consider both values, positive and negative values. So to solve for x, add 1 on both sides. So one value is 1 plus 2, that is 3, and another value is 1 minus 2, that is -1. So the x-intercepts in terms of ordered pair is -1, 0, and also 3, 0. Okay. Then to find the y-intercept, set x equals 0 in the given function. So when you look at our given function, when you set x equals 0, we have negative of, this becomes 0, so negative of 0 minus 1, the whole quantity squared plus 4. So we can see that it is negative of -1 square, that is, this is positive 1, so negative of 1 plus 4, that is 3. So y-intercept in terms of ordered pair is 0, 3. So to graph, we need the vertex, x-intercepts, and the y-intercepts. We know that the vertex is 1, 4. First plot this point. And the x-intercepts -1, 0, and 3, 0. And the y-intercept is 0, 3. So plot these points, join the graph. So you will get a parabola that opens down. Next step is to find the domain and the range. You can see that the parabola extends to both sides of the x-axis. So the domain is -infinity to infinity, and the range, it is going down, right? And the highest point on the parabola, the y-coordinate is 4. So the range is -infinity to 4, and this point is included in the graph, so we use the bracket. And also, whenever you use the interval notation, always starts with the least value first, then the highest value as the second value. So hope you got this concept and also understood how to graph the quadratic functions of the form f of x equals a times x minus a square plus k. Let's look at one more example. F of x equals 3x squared plus 6x minus 4. So you know that this is of the form f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So to find the vertex, we can use the vertex formula. Vertex is minus b over 2a and f of minus b over 2a. And we know that a is the coefficient of the x squared term and b is the coefficient of x. So in this case, a equals 3 and b equals 6. And also you can see that c is -4. So we need only a and b values. So to find the x coordinate, minus b over 2a. So that is -6 over 2 times 3. So -6 over 6, that is -1. So to find the y coordinate of the vertex, substitute this value in the original function. So 3 times -1, the whole quantity squared, plus 6 times -1 minus 4. So 3 plus -6 minus 4. So you can see that you will get -7. So that is the y coordinate of the vertex. So the vertex is -1, -7. And also you can see that the leading coefficient, the numerical coefficient of the highest degree term, so that is 3. So 3 is greater than 0. So we know that the graph or the parabola opens up. And also we know that since the graph opens up, the axis of symmetry is the x coordinate of the vertex. So x equals -1. So axis of symmetry is a line that divides the graph into two symmetrical halves. So Whenever you write the axis of symmetry, you need to write in terms of an equation. So x equals -1. Okay. Now we need to find the x-intercept. So to find the x-intercept, set the function to 0. So here the function is 3x squared plus 6x minus 4. So we need to factor this trinomial. But when you look at this, it is not factorable. So to find the x value, you can use the quadratic formula. So you remember the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac, the whole quantity divided by 2a. So in this case, a is 3, b is 6, and c is -4. So -6 plus or minus 6 squared minus 4 times a is 3 and c is -4, the whole quantity divided by 2 times 3. And be careful with these two negatives. It makes this quantity positive. That is like a common mistake. Always be careful with this side. So -6 plus or minus square root of 36 plus 48, the whole quantity divided by 6. So when we add these quantities, we will get -6 plus or minus square root of 84 divided by 6. And we know that we can simplify this radical. So to simplify this radical, we need to find the largest perfect square that divides into this number. That is 4. 4 times 21. Then square root of 4 is 2. So we can take that 2 out of the radical sign. Then inside the radical sign, we have square root 21, right? So -6 plus or minus 2 square root of 21 over 6. Now to simplify this, factor out the common factor from the numerator, that is 2 is the common factor. So when you factor out 2, you have -3 plus or minus square root of 21 over 6. Then you can simplify this. So you will get -3 plus or minus square root of 21 over 3. So in order to graph this, we need the decimal form. So the corresponding decimal form is 0.53 and -2.53 approximately. And the next step is to find the y-intercept. Set 0, x equals 0 in the given function. When you set 0 for x, these two terms become 0. So you have -4. So the y-intercept is -4 in terms of an integer. Otherwise, in terms of an ordered pair, it is 0, -4. So we can plot the vertex first, that is -1. The vertex is -1, -7. Then the x-intercepts are 0.53, so it is between 0 and 1 approximately. Then other x-intercept is -2.53, it is between -2 and -3, so we can plot this point. And the y-intercept is 0, -4, so we can graph the parabola by joining these points, so the parabola opens up. And when you look at this graph, you can see that the graph extends to both sides of the x-axis. So you know that the domain is the set of all x values. So it is -infinity to infinity. And the range, and you can see that the lowest point is this. The corresponding y coordinate is -7. And it extends to the upward direction. So the range is -7. That point is included in the graph. So we use the bracket. So the range is -7 to infinity. So hope you understood how to graph the quadratic function in the two formats, like f of x equals a times x minus h squared plus k, and also f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c.